everyone. This is a pop-in. This is a drum key pop-in. There's no format. There's no rules. Nothing is off the table unless our guest deems it so. I'm Adam Steck. That's Sean Groff. You know us. This is Tyler.
Hi, everybody.
He's from Hal Leonard Corporation. Do we say corporation, or does that sound too big business?
It's now an LLC.
He's from Hal Leonard LLC.
But you can just say Hal. Hal Leonard.
He's from Hal. Hal Leonard. That works.
Yeah.
And
what does Hal Leonard exactly do and distribute?
Hal Leonard is probably first and foremost known as a music publishing company. So if you want to learn Taylor Swift on flute or keyboard or accordion, or learn how to play Bruno Mars or like the new Disney Little Mermaid, things like that, we're the place to go to get that sheet music. But over the years, we've kind of grown to be a little bit of a musical distributor as well. So we do stuff from microphones to powered speakers to drums, sticks, cymbals, drum heads.
It's kind of amazing because I think Hal Leonard has become the fast number 3, top 3 distributors that we deal with, because you guys deal in Gibraltar Hardware, Gretsch Publishing, like you said, Remo drum heads. We vend from them. So I mean,
Vader drumsticks, innovative
percussion, big time.
Tycoon,
oh my gosh,
percussion. We do Peisty cymbals. We do miscellaneous things like slap clats, drum dampeners, drum and bass drum rugs. There's a little bit of everything,
So it feels like at least once a week we get a big, huge shipment from Hal Leonard.
Yeah, all the time. There's something.
Yeah.
And if someone comes in and they mention something like we talked about before, we love when customers come in and show us things, or like, have you heard about this? Awesome. Like that's like we're doing our own research, but we find out about stuff. It's like, yeah, let me see. I'm sure I can get it from someone. It's like, hey, Tyler, do you have this? What's it called? And he's like, we're working on it. It'll be here in like a couple of weeks.
Right.
Like we got this for you. I don't know. It just seems like a great catch-all. Like
we want to be a one-stop shop.
Yeah,
where,
that's the idea, right?
If you guys are getting drums, and I mean, being a music retailer, even if you get you have guitar lessons downstairs, so it's called Drums Etc. But you're able through us, if somebody's like, hey man, I want to try doing some home recording. Like we can get you your DAW software, or we can get you your phone DAW, or that XLR cable that you need, or whatever you may need. We'll have that available.
Right.
So
we're actually recording right now through an interface that I just ordered from you.
See,
and it came
Hal
in.
Leonard is taking over
Hal
the
Leonard
world,
is-
baby.
They're taking over the world, the podcast world.
And I want to be right there at the ground level.
And these we got from you. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's funny.
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Yeah. No,
But it hasn't always been that way. Like you were saying, was the first big, huge catch Gretsch? And they're owned by DW.
Yeah, it was. So 2017, that all went down. We had distribution of some other brands, but it was it wasn't what it was, and we had like Blue Mics, and I think we had already been working with Avid, and just miscellaneous stuff. But when DW made that purchase from KMC and got in, that was when it was LP, Gretsch.
They were doing a lot.
Toka, Ovation Guitars, Gibraltar.
Yep.
It was that whole plethora of stuff. I think they had it for a couple years, and I think it was just the monster of what everything was to handle that. And we had a distribution center kind of right in the middle of the country in Winona, Minnesota, that was able to reach smaller dealers, bigger dealers, all kind of vendors. So that's where that conversation started. So that was 2017, and that's where we picked up Gretsch and Gibraltar, and Percussion Plus. CB Drums was part of that deal.
Yeah.
You guys have done so well with it as well.
Well, thanks.
The stocking, the ordering is so nice.
It's been a journey. We've had some good moments, some bad moments, but we try to learn along the way, and just keep improving and just making sure we have inventory, and just if we can get it to you, quickly and in good condition. That's the key.
And it's half of it is having the stuff ready to go, but the other half is like, we know we can call you, and I tell this to customers sometimes, is like, when they're on the fence if they want to buy something or not, I say, and if it's a company like a brand or something that you would support, or another vendor, like some vendors are more hands-on, some aren't, or whatever, and I'm like, look, if something bad happens, I call Tyler. Like, I'm not calling Hal Leonard.
No.
I'm not calling, like, the credit department or the repair. Like, I'm literally like, hey, Tyler, what can we do? And then, like, we make it happen.
It's so great having a personal sales rep
Huge.
that's associated with
Huge.
just you, that takes care of all of your positives, negatives, everything that happens. You're the man, dude.
And
Thanks.
there's a lot you can't say that about everyone.
No.
You can't.
Sorry.
Like, I wish we could. It'd be great.
I'll make sure I Venmo you after this.
Well,
Checks in the
no.
mail.
Well, you did lay your wallet down when you went to the bathroom earlier, and don't worry, we're covered. We're covered.
I didn't get back yet, so.
Well, no, but I think that's a really important thing to be able to have, and you're here.
Well, we want to make
You know?
sure, like, I'm a drummer myself and a musician, and, the worst thing is when something breaks or, and it's not everything can be perfect. And, if something does go wrong with it, like, we want to make sure whoever's drum set it is, we can, or, whether it's a boom arm or something, got to make sure like they're good with it. Otherwise,
Right.
representing that brand. And that's the thing. It's like, as a Hal Leonard employee, like, I'm, representing all those brands. So it's like,
Yeah.
I want to keep them in good faith with that brand, and if we can make the customer happy, it's good for them, it's good for you guys. I mean, the whole thing we're trying to do is ultimately we all want to have more musicians, because we all enjoy music.
Yep.
We all enjoy drumming or playing guitar or just music in general, and like that's what we're ultimately trying to do, is just
That's a good goal,
create
because if
more musicians.
Everyone played, we'd
all benefit.
Yeah.
we would all benefit.
We all
If everyone
benefit.
played.
Yeah.
Including
The world will be a
non-musicians,
better
'cause there's
place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
There's
Absolutely.
nothing wrong with more music in the world.
No.
Right.
So that's the
Right.
ultimate goal, is whether they're 8 years old, 14-year-old, or it's a 40-year-old who's never picked up a drumstick in his life. Like, they can find joy in something one way or another, but that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever used the term or heard the term end user? Sean brought this up in another show, and we died laughing because it sounds so
It sounds like a derogatory term.
so bad.
In the technology world, yes.
Okay.
When it comes to, let's say, like a download code, like you're trying to get your Pro
Yeah.
Tools software,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the end user, but it usually is typically with technology instead of like another term. But yeah, it's always digital.
Because we talk about it because it's like we've heard it interchanged with customer, like the person who buys stuff from us. Like, you buy the stuff from the company,
Yep.
you sell it to us,
the retailer.
You sell it to the retailer, and the retailer sells it to the customer. We've heard that referred to as the end user, and we die every time because that sounds so bad.
I know.
Yeah, consumer is maybe the word I would
It's
use,
better.
but yeah, end user.
End user.
I don't know. We just crack up. We crack
me-
up. So
to
we
me,
bring it up. We bring it up
we bring
as
it up to-
often as
it's
possible.
got a darker
as much
tone
as
to
possible.
it.
does.
It
It just
doesn't it?
sounds
like I
bad.
just think it sounds a little bit morbid too. Like this will be the last person to ever play the drum.
Yeah.
You are the end user. It will be buried with you.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Did you go to NAMM this year?
I didn't.
Okay. Because I
didn't.
saw you there last year.
I was there in June, yeah, and then the turnaround to April. We skipped this one, but we'll be back in January
Okay.
2024.
So Hal wasn't there.
We had some representatives
okay,
there,
that's what I was
just
gonna
kind
say.
of free floating through, but I didn't get the call,
Right,
and,
right.
and instead I took a family vacation to Florida, so that was nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of being in a warm area, being indoors all day, I
Exactly.
actually got to be in a warm area.
That is
and
the tragedy
enjoy
of the NAMM
beach.
show.
Yeah.
If you work in the industry.
Especially in January, like I'm in Wisconsin, and you guys being in PA, like Januaries are terrible for winter.
Yep.
And usually it's
That's
like,
the escape.
heck yeah, I'm going to Anaheim. Like, it's 60 degrees, and I'm going to be in shorts. Or they're all in parkas and pants, but it's hot weather for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you get out of snow blowing and shoveling and everything, but
Yeah.
yeah, but you never see anything. So my wife has always been like, go enjoy the weather. I'm like, I'm indoors.
inside. Yeah.
I'm
I
inside.
have to- I have to
There's no
merchandise.
windows in that place.
have
I don't even
meetings
see daylight.
Exactly. You're
The
right.
beginning of the day until the end of the night.
You're like in the center of the floor with like all these like fluorescent lights and just stuck there.
Yeah, you don't see any outside
You
doors.
got meetings all day.
The light you get is walking from the hotel to the convention center, and then when
That's
you
it.
walk out, it's dark.
Yep.
And then you wake up and you get that little glimmer of light, but
Yeah.
it's still fun.
But you
Yeah,
have to
of
go.
course.
You have to go to breakfast too.
Yeah.
So you wake up very early and you spend your time at breakfast because
Yep.
that's
Still indoors.
In a dark room.
Boom.
In a dark room.
Yeah.
You wake
Immediately
up,
from
walk
there-
in the sun, and then you go into a dark room because there's always like a performance or all that stuff going on. And then you immediately like walk out of that building, maybe usually across the thoroughfare, and then back indoors.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
But what a heck of a time.
a great time.
It's a great time.
But let's talk about what happens after you leave, though, because there's a lot of after parties and things. And like, I won't get you in trouble with any party stories.
No,
don't worry. But like, there is like a bit of like,
There's a few things I can't talk about.
Well, Sean has a lot of stories. No, but there's stuff going on because people want to like promote their new gear. There's like a bunch of stages and stuff that do go typically a little bit later.
Yeah,
Do you catch any of that or?
I honestly don't get to. By the time we get out of the convention center and we kind of have our end of the day meetings, individually, we're usually given, by the time we get all done with that, it's like, all right, you got 10 minutes and this group is grabbing some food here, but your reservation you can't really make until 9 p.m. And by the time you get there, and then by the time you're done with dinner, you're like, I'm beat for the day.
Yeah.
Or you're getting back in time to catch Stevie Wonder on stage outside, or you get back to one of the hotels and there's this cool act playing in the lobby where it's so loud.
Yeah.
And then you get, you get lost like watching them because there's a lot of great musicians out there and you catch some really good ones.
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right, my ears need a break. I'm going to go lay down for a little bit and then, start the new day.
So how many times have you like worked the NAMM show?
I've been going there since 2014.
Okay, so you have a lot. Now let me ask you this:
Yeah.
what was the loudest booth as far as proximity? Have you ever been next to any of the cymbal vendors? Because that's always wild.
So luckily, because we are a print publisher, we're always nicely in more of the
You're
quiet
with book
area.
people.
Yeah.
You're with the
We're
book
with
people.
The book people. The people who read music. No. We typically have, but we're typically by, like, there's usually a Marshall stack there, but guys aren't like blasting guitars full load, or full volume.
Right.
But the drum hall is usually over one. And luckily, there's enough space to separate where you don't really hear them. But obviously, we're like making rounds and going and visiting our brands. And then you pop in your earplugs and you make your way in. It's just the cymbal booths. As much as I love them as a person to like test stuff,
They are brutal.
it's just
so crazy.
And I've said this before, I love cymbals. Like, I love to take some time and play cymbals, but it is just mad need headache. Oh my gosh.
there's a difference between playing a cymbal, understanding how it sounds,
Yeah.
than trying to break the cymbal.
Crashing it and just
And or trying to hit every cymbal.
Yes, as loudly as you can in succession, without or one after another, letting it ring,
Right.
and being like, "I like that ring."
Right. Because
the rest of the room is also trying to battle.
yes,
Yeah.
everyone's fighting. Everyone's fighting to hear, so they hit harder.
Yeah. Then you have the decibel people walking around with the reader.
Yes.
And they're looking.
They're ready
they're
to
watching
shut it
you.
down.
Yeah.
They're ready to shut it down.
And it's always fun when they catch somebody really, getting that meter up, and they like pause and they give you that death glare, like, I'm watching you. Yeah. No. And then you can see like people notice them outside the booth, and they're like, sorry.
I love it. I love it. I love that there's police. There's sound police.
The sound police.
At a music
Yeah.
conference.
And
I don't know if
like-
I love it.
we're talking about cymbals and all that kinds of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it reminded me of, and I don't know if I talked about this, the time I had the chance to go to the Sabian factory during their
That's
25th anniversary. It was amazing. It was so cool to see them make the cymbals and mix the metals and the process that it took to, from point, the start to the end. But they graciously gave everyone that was there the opportunity to go into the cymbal vault and pick out any one cymbal you wanted, including hi-hats. Like, that counted as a cymbal, right? So I was up there with about 40 drum shops, like, independent drum shops around.
Yeah.
That was the deal. And I was the first person to pick and choose my cymbal and get out of there because it was so loud. I'm like, I could really go for a new set of hi-hats. Oh my gosh. I'm going to pick out 3 that I know are going to sound good. And I tested them and they were so surprised. They were like, I'm like, that's it. Those are the ones that I want. And they're like, oh, well, you can mix them. You can take a bottom over here and put that. I was like, nope, those are it. I'm good. I got to go. I'm out of here. Like,
I love
it. It was so
It was
freaking
supermarket
loud.
sweep for drummers in a cymbal room.
They're like trying different things out, and that's awesome. But I'm like, oh my gosh,
I love it too. I love how you like. You're like
I was the first. I'm so proud of that fact. I was the first
Did you get out
person.
and realize you grabbed the wrong cymbal and you're like,
No,
dang
you know
it.
what? They I didn't get to take it then. They shipped it to us.
Okay.
So,
but there's a couple things in here that
I still
are
have
just
those
very
hi-hats.
interesting.
I still have those
yeah,
hi-hats.
and they sound great.
Yeah,
They sound
HHX
great.
Legacy hi-hats.
Right.
Those
Right.
are my main hats.
And I was going to point out there's a couple things that are interesting about this story to me. I'm just going to say interesting, and then we can talk about it. I'm not sure how I feel about these things. First of all, Sean picked out a very nice set of hi-hats, but something like stock. Like he did not pick out a prototype, a one of a kind, nothing huge. He was like, no, I want 14-inch hi-hats that we probably have at the shop, and I heard before, and I like it.
Was that the first thing that came to your mind?
That
Like
was
when they were like, you can pick one. That
hi-hats.
was
Yeah, that's great.
I said I don't like my hi-hats that I have. I had
Want
some
new hi-hats.
I want new hi-hats. I need
Okay.
a dark set of hi-hats, and I knew I literally picked out 3 that I knew that I would like and that I have maybe heard, and I went
Just cracks me
and
up.
and within like 4 minutes I decided I went to the person, I gave him my information, and I just got out of there.
So you went to the chocolate factory,
Yes.
saw all of the wonders, and you bought like a Hershey bar that you could have bought at the store down the road.
I don't know if I'd put it that way, but
You're in. People are eating
was-
the grass. People are drinking
was
the
just
chocolate river, and
the-
you grabbed a prepackaged Hershey bar.
swirl of symbol testing that really I'm like
Yeah.
I mean
The
it's
noise.
jarring.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's going to be the theme of this podcast, apparently.
That's not the cymbal bath you want to take. Like,
That's right.
A gong bath is okay, but
Gong bath is fine.
Cymbal bath.
a bunch of
Ding, ding.
I'm sure someone was playing to China. Someone's like, "What gongs do you have?"
Right.
You know
Oh,
that happened,
Dude, it
What
was
gongs
happening.
do you
Like,
have?
do you have something with a little bit of wash, but not too much wash, but a little bit of definition on the like? You're like, oh my god, like
Wow. Yeah, you're like, these are great.
it's okay to be that kind of particular. I'm not.
But not when
So-
someone says you get a free one.
Oh, yeah,
Be
totally.
gracious. Pick your. You
Yeah.
did. So you did the right thing.
You
I
really did.
hope I did the right thing.
You really did.
I hope I did.
So great
I
that
feel
we'll-
like I
Yeah.
did. That's
You
why I like
still
this.
got 'em? You're happy
I
with
still
them?
have them. Absolutely.
That's all that matters.
I gigged them not too long ago, a couple weeks ago.
You did so great that they're about to invite us back. No, actually, you probably just violated some non-disclosure you signed when you went to the factory.
Shit, you know
I
what?
won't tell anyone about this ever.
You'll get that RA in the mail now.
You're like, yeah, send them back. Send them back.
Used or not used, it's fine.
Yeah,
That's
Just
right.
get it back.
That's awesome. That's great. So have you had the opportunity, obviously, don't say anything you're not allowed to talk about, but you've had the opportunity to visit some of the vendors and some industry people? Industry factories, potentially?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
It's always usually like DW offices being in California, Heisty's offices being in California.
Yep.
You try to time it around that NAMM portion, even Remo, but it's also so hectic that it never really works out. Right. And I haven't earned the free chip, going to Taiwan or Thailand or Switzerland. Haven't earned that yet. But if they need volunteers, I'll gladly make that trip.
But you were just in New York yesterday, is that right?
I was in New York yesterday.
Are we allowed to talk about New York yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I
He was in New York yesterday.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was a secret for anybody. They were advertising it.
Yeah.
Gretsch is celebrating their 140th anniversary. So
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats,
Gretsch.
Yeah. So they debuted a documentary that's I think gonna be shown to the public or released next week.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So that was cool. Fred and Dinah were there. It was actually her birthday, which was kind of cool.
Perfect.
So we got to sing happy birthday to her. And then they had some performers go on. So Mark Giuliano was there, Nate Wood. The big one that I told you guys I was excited about was Will Calhoun. So that was it was from a musician, fan and a drummer fan, watching every one of those guys, and they had a keyboard player, a sax player, and a bass player with them, and all those guys could play,
Yeah.
But it was just interesting. Everyone's got their own unique style. They're playing different arrangements, and it was like Will got on stage, and it was just a
Next
whole
level.
other level. I mean, it was just,
I know.
it just commands the room, and you could tell everybody. You know, because any like jazz club, there's always that background chatter. People are having dinner and drinks and stuff. And you could just tell, like, the room got a lot quieter.
Like, pay attention.
Yeah, I mean,
something's happening.
He hits like a rock star.
Yeah,
yeah.
And that was probably the biggest thing is the other guys are light and playing, you know, and it's very jazzy and more modern. And then Will got on with his, you know, he's got 2 kick drums and, you know, he's got a full set of drums and he's got, you know, his cowbell set up on the side. And it was like, all right, this guy, and then he hits. And all right, he's at another level. So yeah, it ended the night. All 3 of them got on stage and jammed out together. It was a really good night and cool to celebrate. I mean, Gretsch is one of the oldest, you know, American drum companies, you know.
Yeah.
And just that it's still in the family. And it was cool to not only see the documentary and just kind of see some of that history and some of the stories told about it, but it was cool to celebrate that, you know, companies like that still exist. So that was a fun night.
Yeah, and that you're associated with them.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
I was just I was like completely thankful that I even got like an invite to come join, because you're in a room of, you know, just these people. You're like, man. You know, and you're trying not to like
be a fanboy.
Yeah. You know, like I said hi to Mark, and it was just, you know, just me kind of having small talk with him. But at the same time, I'm like, man, like you're really good. You know, you're trying not to have that geek out moment of meeting these people that you know, like you're a fan of and you admire as a musician, and that you know, hope and wish to kind of strive to be or take something from them, you know, in some extent. And but you're like, play cool, man. Play cool.
Yeah.
So I've come to realize I have a really good story about meeting people that I really admire but screwing it up.
I'm ready.
But before the story, I have to say that this is to preface the story, is I realized that one of my biggest faults is that I'm always worried that I'm like inconveniencing someone else. And this isn't me trying to like brag and like say something good. Like this is a fault. This is bad. Like I feel bad at the bank when I like the person has to like count the change to put a deposit in. Like I'm like, how can I make your job easier? Like, you know what I mean? It seems like it's thoughtful, but it's psychotic.
You're putting the change out and counting it for him.
I'm
and like here, this,
like literally, it's absurd, right? So I didn't realize that I didn't know how I would act around like famous drummers. We've had some clinics, I've met some people, but there's kind of like that's the point. It's like a meet and greet. It's like, hey, I'm so and so, you know, and everyone's doing it. Everyone's standing in a line. So I go to NAMM last year, and there's like a bunch of people that were. I think the first person that this happened with, and it happened like 5 times. I won't talk about all, but the first time I was talking with Tim Chahady at Peisty.
Yep.
And I think it was Eric Moore was there.
Okay.
Playing and like or whatever. And I was like, I recognized him. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like he's cool, you know, a cool drummer, great guy. Like I see him all the time online, like playing, and like, you know, he's got a good rep. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna say anything. And he's like just literally by himself testing out cymbals. And like people are coming up, like getting autographs, like pictures. And I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna. And then I had like my official meeting with Tim, and like we were talking. And at the end, he's like, oh, do you want to talk to Eric? And I was like, no, let him be. You know. Meanwhile, I'm like, I kind of do. It'd be kind of cool. You know. And he's like,
but you didn't want to inconvenience.
He was like, I can like, I'll introduce you. Like literally the perfect scenario. Is like someone like who he cares about, and I said no again. And he's like, no, I could like at least take a picture with you guys. And I was like,
now Tim's getting angry.
No, I gotta go. Yeah, I know. And he was like, all right, man. And that was it. That's the end of that story. It didn't happen, right? So let's
Tim's
ramp
such a
it
nice,
up.
chill guy. Yeah,
let's ramp it up.
Crank it up
to 10. Let's crank it up to 10. Right? Crank it up to 11. Same type of scenario, different scenario, but same reaction and same failure. So I go to this after party with another company on an anniversary, and they had like some performers and different things like that, right? So I go, I'm invited. It's like this, like there's hors d'oeuvres and like drinks flying. It's like, this is great. And I had met my 2 friends out there. Shout out Matt and Chris, his wife Chris. Anyway, they met me out there, so like I got him into the thing, and we were hanging out, watched the show and stuff like that. So one of the performers was Peter Erskine. Right, so he's playing. So there's 3 of us at a table for 4. We got there early. We're like have like a kind of a prime spot. At some point, someone who I would later confirm was a bigwig. I think it was either a bigwig at Hoshino, or someone there to see him. You know what I mean? Took the 4th chair and spun it around to watch the show. Right, because we're like kind of 3 of us sitting here, stage is here.
Okay.
Took the 4th chair, spun around, so they're kind of at our table. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know they knew each other or anything. So we're watching the show. It was so good. Everything happened. And then Peter finishes up. He's got a stick bag and his stuff, in his bag. And like, he comes strutting over to our table. And I'm like, what is he doing? Like, this is my chance to like chill with him, like hang out. By the way, big fan, Peter. You wouldn't know it. I apologize for this entire story. Right? He shows up and he like sets his bag down. And I'm like, oh, Chris isn't here. Like, my friend Chris had run to the bathroom. So there's like an open seat there.
Yeah.
Whoever it was that he knew spun their chair around and sat. And he's like, oh, do you mind if we sit here? And immediately, I say, oh, no, actually, that seat's taken. My friend Chris is in the bath. And like, he was like he looked at me like not like in an egotistical, like, really way, but like, really? Like, oh, okay, like confused. And then whoever it was like, yeah, we'll find a table in the back. It's okay. And like got up, like ushered him away. And I turned to my friend Matt, and he looked at me and he just shook his head. And I was like, what did I just do?
Yeah.
And then Chris comes back, and I told her what I did, and she's like, why would you do that? That's the dumbest thing ever. I was like, no, it proves our friendship. I'm like, you should love me right now. She's just mad
But that
at
was
me.
immediately the first thing you thought of. You weren't thinking of like,
I
oh my gosh,
thinking
being
of
a
this
fan.
is my opportunity, and like obviously we can pull over another chair.
Yeah.
Jeez, the guy wants to sit down right next to me and like.
You had your
Talk.
friend's back, man.
Right? I'm a true friend. That's what the story is.
That's right.
Not that I'm an idiot.
Shows your true
and ruin
colors.
Ruin the opportunity.
Can't you be both?
So, long story
I'm
short,
both.
if you want to talk to someone or you see me at NAMM at future shows, and there's someone there, to just know that no matter what I say,
I'm not going to ask if you want to meet them.
No matter what I say, literally just grab me and start introducing.
I'm going to pretend I'm taking you somewhere.
Yes.
And it's almost like a How I Met Your Mother. Like, have you met Adam? And then walk away.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, do you want to go talk to Tyler? Nah. Just,
No. He looks
Adam,
busy.
Adam, you have a meeting with him.
He's talking with someone else right now.
Don't
Probably-
don't bother him.
probably-
Don't
I
bother
know.
him. But I want to say that you had the moment with Will Calhoun like hitting the drums, and it's like so like, oh my god. We had a drum clinic with Kenny Arnoff, and I felt the same way. I'd never seen somebody hit the drums so freaking hard in my life.
Hard-hitting
Then when he hit I was like,
I don't know how he doesn't break more drum heads.
I have no
I mean, maybe
idea.
he does, and we just don't. That
I
with
needed
the drum
to say
tech
that.
and the magic, but yeah,
it was the loudest drum clinic that we've ever had. It shook the whole Drums Etc., the old store.
but it was awesome.
It was freaking killer, dude. I couldn't believe it.
That's awesome.
Did that get cut off?
No, you're good. Keep going.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we're not losing anything because we don't have our new setup yet. There we go.
I thought this was the new setup.
Well, it is. It is, but
So my first NAMM, I remember Victor Wooten's done some stuff for us as Hal Leonard, and I was a big fan of him like through college and everything, and
yeah.
I remember getting in an elevator, and it was pretty late at night, and it was just me, and all of a sudden Victor walks in, and he stands in, and I didn't say anything at first, and I was just like, do I I was having those internal discussions.
Right.
Do I say something? Do I not say something? Like, is it more rude to say something or not say something?
Right.
If you've ever met him, he's one of the most down to earth, like nicest people. Such a huge, spokesperson for music education and just everything. And I like waited till I almost got to my floor, and I turned to him and I said, "Hey, I just want to say I appreciate your music and what you do." And I got out of the elevator and walked away.
You just doors closed.
Yeah,
You're like standing
you're
there.
like waiting till the last second.
But you wanted this. You had to say something.
Yeah, I was like,
I love that.
like clearly we're the only two in the elevator, but I was like,
Oh.
I didn't, like, what do you say? Like,
Right.
hey man, I've been a fan of you. Like, cool, and it was just like I appreciated him as a musician. Like, so I told him and walked away.
Wow.
That was like
That's
my first
amazing.
like close
Encounter.
interaction. And I had like similar thoughts where I was
Stupid.
like, you idiot. Like,
Stupid idiot. Like he's like,
yeah.
but no, Victor, he does seem
No,
like
he'd
such
be
a
like,
nice
"Thanks,
guy.
man."
Like,
Yeah.
totally.
Even worse if I like it's the wrong floor. Like I gotta get
Sorry,
back.
I gotta get back.
My nightmare is that exact scenario, except the elevator breaks.
Oh no.
And I haven't said anything. And I'm stuck in the elevator with whoever this, like, the famous person is. That is my nightmare. Like that.
So you
But-
come here often?
Yeah. So I actually, this is related, but a little bit different because it's not music world. So I went this last year. I'm a nerd. You might not know that. I'm a nerd. My friends are all nerds. So like, we're going to New York Comic Con this year. And I was like,
I'm not his
awesome.
friend. I gotta say that.
Yeah, Sean is not nerdy. He did not go. Good.
You're the loser for not being a nerd.
Wow, what a loser.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I see I'm outnumbered.
Anyway, just listen. This was
Nerds
just
are taking over the world, man.
This is just a detail. I'm a nerd. Get over it. So we go to Comic-Con. It's the first time I was ever at a convention like that. You know what I mean? And
Did you dress up?
I did not.
Missed opportunity.
Oh, I got crap for it from not only like everyone I went with, but also like some people we met. Because some of these people, like I got to like just, there are 4 people. So if you do a meet and greet, you pay a ridiculous amount of money, but you can meet a celebrity or you get a picture taken with them. And we did a couple. I say we, meaning I was one of the 4 people because there wasn't a big group. So I mooched along, had to pay nothing, but got to meet some people, right? So, but this was me confronting my fears, right? And this was after the NAMM thing wore off, you know, but I remembered it. So one of the people at Comic-Con last year was Brendan Fraser.
That's a good one,
right?
to overcome your fears with.
Huge. And it was just a picture thing where you just go in and you get a picture with him. And there's like another thing where you can go up and actually talk to him. But this is literally like you say, hey, you pose for a picture.
And then you get shuffled away. And then you like prepay like $100 or something. Like it's absurd. It's insane how these people make money. But anyway, I was thinking about NAMM and I was like, I got this. So I specifically planted myself, there's 4 of us, in the front and waited my turn. And then I saw him around the corner. I saw him behind the curtain. And I was like, okay, he's here. And so I go up and I literally was the first one. I like march in there and I'm like, hey, I really appreciate what you do. And he's like, thanks. And he just like moved on. And I was like, I did it. And then in like the picture, like we're all just standing there. I was like, I felt so good. You're just gleaming in that
so
picture.
I have an introduction now. I can do that. So if you see me at NAMM talking, there's a famous drummer, I can at least say, hey man, I appreciate what you do.
So I'm not the only one that was like
No.
your initial reaction.
It's a start.
You're
That's
like,
it.
I don't know what else to
I
say.
didn't know what to say. I'm like I got, and the other thing is I had a time crunch too. Like we had like a couple seconds before I'm shoot out of there. Like everyone else actually paid for the thing, and I'm gonna take up this man's time, right? I was like, hey man, like I love the Mummy movies. Like they are like special effects wise. That's the reason I got into this and that and that and that. And like I did that. Like no, you don't have time for that. So it's just like it's kind of the perfect scenario. So I think at NAMM they should have photo ops for people like me as a stepping stone towards a meet and greet.
And there's a lot of, I mean, there's not only non-famous musicians, and you be talking about being a nerd.
Yes.
I'm also a fellow nerd.
Oh,
so,
well,
yeah.
thanks for backing me up earlier.
You're the loser, man. So it was also that same NAMM, and I think it was after this.
Okay.
I think it was Sunday, so it was a little slower, and we're just kind of hanging out, and all of a sudden I see a guy walking towards our booth, and he's going to cut through our booth.
Yeah.
And internally I'm like, I know who that is. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's J.J. Abrams. Like, clearly J.J. Abrams. Dude. And I'm like, do I say? And again, flat, like, and this was before he did The Force Awakens. So this is coming out. Yeah. This is post Star Trek.
Sure.
I know he's going to direct, like, I think it's that, like, the following December is, like, that's coming out. So
got it.
They probably had already been filming, and I think he was scouting for, like, the next Star Wars celebration, which was going to be at that convention center.
It there.
Yeah. And so I quickly, it was like, screw it, so I was like, hey, JJ, do you mind if I get a picture with you? And he was like, sure, man. And he had, I don't know, I'm assuming it was his daughter.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can take it for you. And I was like, thanks. So I like quick grab my phone and I give it to her and we take our photo. And I was like, thank you very much. And he's like, yeah, no problem. Have a good day. I was like, you too. And he walks away and I'm glad I said something to take the picture. But at the same time, I was like, I didn't say anything about Star Wars. Like, I'm a big Star Wars nerd. I was like, maybe that's for the better.
Or maybe he just swiped right on your phone.
He saw.
Like, get out of here.
He saw like you wearing like like the Leia costume. And he's like, that's your screensaver? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this guy. And it was funny because he walked away and one of my coworkers walks up and he goes, who was that? And I was like, that was J.J. Abrams. He's like, oh, cool. But I had another coworker who must have caught him at the tail end, and he was like, was that J.J. Abrams? Like, running up. And I was like, yeah, I got a picture.
Did he, like, sprint after?
Yes. He was like, where'd he go?
Oh, my God.
And he goes and runs into the crowd of NAMM.
Yeah.
And I don't think he found him. But, I mean, he just kind of, he, like, vanished into the crowd.
I love that.
But, I mean, it's crazy how you have those, like, subtle moments.
Yeah.
And then when you're there, you can always tell when Stevie Wonder's walking around because there's just this mob of people following him.
Yeah.
And you feel bad but everyone's just most of the people I would say are very respectful and like give him space.
Sure.
And he's got his security.
Shaq has his doubts that Stevie Wonder is blind. Have you ever seen that? He's like, Stevie Wonder is not blind.
That's for another podcast.
That is for another podcast.
This is now a drum key.
If you want to check that out,
Conspiracy.
it's out there.
Conspiracy.
But actually, speaking of meeting all these great drummers and everything else, we were talking about the meeting of Will Calhoun downstairs. He's been to the old drums, etc. There was another element. I didn't share the story here.
Yeah.
There's another element to that I forgot.
Do you want to tell the story?
And that
quick,
was
or?
Jason recognized.
Yeah,
it.
you should tell the story.
Yeah, the
It's a
story
good
goes like this. So I'll kind of paint you a picture. At the old store, we had a small stage in the front, and at one time we would have really nice drum sets out front. You know,
that was like a showcase.
That was a showcase spot.
Yeah.
So at this time we had a Tama Star Maple drum set
Walnut.
Star Walnut. Yeah, it was a Star Walnut drum set in lacquer yellow.
Doesn't matter.
And that,
I just had to correct him.
Yeah. Thank you. That matters because I'll come back to the walnut in just a second. No, I won't. But it's this beautiful bright yellow lacquered yellow set, right? And we would have students coming through and they'd get up on stage and start playing it, to the point where one of our coworkers decided to put a sign up, "Please do not play the set." And that was really why he did that.
That's why.
It was an expensive set, and you just have kids coming up banging on it, and we're like, "Hey, you kind of,
And you got like the fancy heads with the low, like you don't want to have to clean off heads. Like the guy who once buys a new drum set for like $4,500, 3 pieces,
Right.
is like gonna want the heads to be not beat up.
right."
Yeah.
And the whole point of being up front is you're trying to like showcase this kid
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
keep it pristine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Exactly. So in walks this gentleman that I recognized, but I see so many faces throughout the day, and through all the years I've done this.
You recognize it as a customer, or like I know that guy from somewhere.
Yeah, I've just thought it was somebody I hadn't seen in a while. I'm like, oh, I acknowledged him, hey, but that day I was out early to go to dinner, so I right before I left, this gentleman was admiring the set, who ended up being Will Calhoun. I'll spill the beans right now. It was Will Calhoun who walked through the door, okay? It was Will Calhoun. Will Calhoun walks through the door. I didn't realize it was him. He looked familiar. I'm like, okay, Sterling, I'm out. I got to go. But before that, Sterling asked him to please not play the set. Because I think he had a stick, and he's like tapping on it, beating on it, and he's like, can you please not play that? Not? And I remember him saying that. So I left. Now I'm at dinner, and I get a text message from Jason.
Okay.
Who was our drum teacher at the time, and he had just done a podcast with us
Jason
a month ago.
Yep.
And he's a good friend of mine. And he says to me, "Hey, Will Calhoun is here." And then it dawned on me. I'm sitting there at Funk's out at dinner. He goes, I'm like, oh my God. And that's when I looked up.
Yeah.
The Living Color, and sure enough, they're playing the Chameleon Club. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Will Calhoun. And I think I may have even text Sterling back, and I said, hey, is he gone? Yeah, he's gone. So the next day I come in and got to talking to one of our guitar teachers, Alan, who had seen Will, didn't recognize him though, but made mention that I think he was wearing a Jimi Hendrix T-shirt, and of course Alan's a guitar player, and he goes, "Oh, Jimi Hendrix, right?" And they got to talk and found out that it was Will Calhoun. And Alan's so positive. He's like, "No way! You guys are playing at the Chameleon Club." Yeah. And I think Will Calhoun was so disappointed that he didn't know that they were playing at the Chameleon Club. He's like, "Oh, really? You don't know that we're playing down there?" He's like, "Oof."
He walks in a drum shop.
I hope we're gonna have a good turnout.
Him. He gets scolded for playing on the drum set,
right?
And then a guitar teacher finally strikes up a conversation with him and doesn't know that they're in town.
Right.
What are you doing here?
Yeah. So many times we had played the Modern Drummer Festival where Will Calhoun plays. Yeah. He's up there on our big screens.
We had a giant poster of him hanging in the consignment room.
Hanging in the consignment room. Also, we had that Vic Firth poster in our break room with all the drumming artists. He's there. Like, I see him every single day. I see this face. That's why. I'm like, I see this face every day. And, growing up and watching Living Color play and Cult of Personality and liking that song and everything else they've done.
Do you want to give an open apology?
I would like to openly apologize to you, Will Calhoun, that I did not recognize you immediately, because I would have loved to said hi, thank you for everything you've done,
on behalf of the shop.
And can you please
get
no
me
one
tickets recognized you?
You can touch every drum in the shop.
Yeah.
Yes, please. You're welcome to beat the crap out of
it. Would be worth more had he played it.
Probably.
Yeah. But that's my run-in with Will Calhoun and fanboy kind of blowing up in my face kind of deal.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that have probably just blown every opportunity to.
Oh, I'm so
not,
glad we've all screwed up because it makes me feel better. Like one day I'll have a
all
proper,
felt the similar like, oh man, like you idiot.
My favorite part is the panic of the what do you say? Like not my favorite part, but my favorite part when other people tell it because that feeling is so specific and it happens so rarely that when that happens you say, "Oh, if this happened, I'd totally say this." But when it happens, you can't think. You're like, "Oh,
And part of it is you want to make sure that it's that person. Like most of the time, you're like, it is who it is. But if the worst part would be if you're completely wrong.
Oh my god!
I love what you do, man. I love what you do, man. Be like, okay, it's just like some barista like pouring coffee. I love what you're doing there. I love it. I love everything you do.
I loved you
I've
in
been
the
a fan
Mummy, man.
for years. Yeah.
It's not them at all. And then you have that awkward elevator ride. And
But being in a drum shop or being at NAMM, a music trade show, you'd think that we would be prepared ahead of time.
Okay, I have a funny story about NAMM and meeting somebody. Okay,
go.
This is a Rick story. You know, the founder. We call him the founder.
We call him
of
the
Drums Etc.
founder. Doesn't that sound epic?
Founder.
Father
Founder
Rick.
of Drums Etc.
Father.
So Rick is at NAMM with a buddy, and they're there, and you know his buddy is there to keep him company, but also to just get autographs. He's not in the business that we're in, you know, but he's a fan. His son is a drummer, and I think he might even play drums a little bit. But they weren't his friends, right? And he's going to go get all the autographs, right? That was his whole thing. So they're out to dinner, and they're sitting there, and I forgot the drummer's name for just a second here. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So they're out to dinner, and Rick says, "Carmen Apiece is sitting right over there." And he's like, "Really?" And he turned around to him. He's like, "Really, Carmen Apiece?" He's sitting right there. He's like, "Oh my gosh, should I go over and say something?" Rick says, "No, don't go over. You can't go over, you know, right now."
He's in the middle of dinner.
He's like, "Don't go over right now." He's like, "Really?" He's like, "I can't believe Carmen Apiece is right over there, though." This guy, you know, the autograph guy. He's like, "I can't believe it. Oh man, who's Carmen Apiece?" That's what he says. He's like, "So who's Carmen Apiece again?" Like, yeah.
I heard it.
Now go get his autograph.
Yeah, that's great. He was so. I mean, if you look at him, even if you don't know who he is, he looks like somebody.
Yeah.
You know, he looks like somebody.
Some of those guys, they have a look.
This is the kind of stunt that I think Sean can pull off. So that's why I'm bringing it up. I think this is what we do. I think probably Sean's the guy to really sell it because he's good at this at bits and things like this. But I think one of us
I'm not going to deny that.
Dresses up. We dress Sean up like a rock star, right? Because you know when a rock star walks in the room. Look, like if you have a popped collar, you're a rock star. If you have like big hair, you're a rock. Like when that, like, you know what I mean? No one looks like me. No one walks in with a baseball hat and a t-shirt. They don't walk around like that. No, they've got like big boots on. Like they've got something. I'm not saying you got to be Kiss walking around, but they just have that it factor. You know what I mean? We get Sean all dolled up in some sort of something that looks just a little bit better than everyone else.
I look good in eyeliner.
And then we hire like a security service.
You get a bunch of your friends.
Yeah. Hire up like in suits, and we just like parade him around NAMM. And it would just attract people.
If you could get a little group following him, and like kind of tightly close. Oh yeah,
that would You're like the horde of people.
You got to have shades on.
I've seen this in the life of Brian, but we could do our own.
We could do our own. That's what. Well, I'm not saying it's completely original, but I just think it'd be at NAMM. It would work perfectly, like around the floor, like.
And then you see how many people get out their phones and like start, just.
No, this is This is you should sponsor it. Hal Leonard should sponsor this, and you just go to Hal Leonard booth, and like it's some big fuss. Like, and you're trying out all their stuff, like being like looking at the drum rugs, like or like the electronics and like all this stuff, like flipping through books, and like it just like
you'll have the random. Who is that guy?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know who that is.
We get the whole team in on it. The whole team in on it, and then it would like attract buzz to your booth. You'd have people like flocking over.
And I've never tried this before. I think this is gonna hit. This was the whole idea of getting you up here, is to pitch you this idea.
No. Clearly, this is very well thought out.
I mean, if you have the moral of this is if you haven't attended a NAMM show, I mean, you want to at least
it's great.
Be semi starstruck and not know what to say to people.
Yeah,
attend
NAMM. Your fears, your social anxiety.
There we go. Have you ever wanted to say something to a famous musician? Attend NAMM.
I love your music.
Right up and down in the elevators.
Yeah. Goodbye.
I've seen just some like Corey Haim was there one year walking around with his angels. That was a weird one. Yeah. Lisa Loeb was there one year. I mean, there's just the most random people that
are
you
just
like
there.
just there, you know.
Yeah.
And you just see it. But glad we all could face our fear.
Yeah.
You still got to face yours.
I still have to. We'll
work on it.
Let's get together. We'll have coffee. I was not the one that
I heard he's
told
in
you
New
to
York
not
right now.
play that drum set. We eventually did sell it, but I'll give you a good deal on a new one.
I'll give you a good deal.
Real good deal.
Unplayed in the box.
Yep.
Good to go. We got a strange request. I won't get too much into details or anything, but we got a strange request from someone. Not only do they want something new in the box, like that's a very thing. Oh, you got a new one in the box? It's like, well, this one was out for you to try. Like, just buy this one. You know what I mean? We get that kind of conversation, you know. Obviously, if something's beat up, you know, we'll discount it. But not only did someone want something new in the box, they said, new in the box, not touched by human hands.
Yeah. And he said this 3 times already to us on voice.
Not touched by human hands. Ever before. That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's nothing in the store.
Yeah.
I can't think of any process, any piece that's like little claw arms.
Is he wanting like a fully autonomous like
I think he's really
drum?
particular. I've known this guy
like
for a
Ford
very long
factory
time.
putting cars together.
Yeah,
kind
I
of
don't
thing?
know. But
I've known this
I
guy
just
for
thought
a
it was
long
funny.
time.
And it's fine. It's totally fine to have like you want something new. I get it. Like it makes
I'll
sense.
tell you exactly what
I
it
love
was.
that. I love that.
A few weeks ago, he called to ask if we had a drum thrown in a box, never touched by human hands. And he says those words. He goes, do you have this particular drum set?
Confusing.
Drum thrown in a box, never touched by human hands. And then today, he wanted a Roland amp, new in a box, discounted to match musician's friend.
Like a price match.
Price match, never touched by human hands. He says it again.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
Never touched by human hands.
That's a strange request.
It is a strange request.
Never touched by
Never
human
touched
hands. Have you
by
ever
human
gotten
hands.
strange requests? Do you field any customers? Like if someone comes, like because I know we usually filter stuff, but some people must ask you guys direct.
Wanting to customize like a Catalina, probably.
Someone
That's
finds
gotta
your
be,
location,
something
starts
like
knocking
that.
on the door.
Oh boy.
A lot of times it's especially in the Gretsch world because they're such enthusiasts and loyal customers.
Of course.
It's the guy that's got like you hear the stories like, oh, I got a 1950s, kit that this and this. Can I still get? Mm-hmm. Could I get like a finish match or, or do you know how to? What's the serial number on that? Or what? And only doing like part of the Gretsch business. Like I'm like oh no, you gotta call their office. Like they may or may not know, But even in like newer stuff, it's. Can you match my finish? How can I guarantee that this is going to look the same? Especially like natural wood grains, which you guys, I mean, it's wood, and that's part of the appeal of having a natural wood grain kit is that every kit is unique.
It's
and
it's all the tree in the forest.
There's going to be some knots in some pieces and some dark spots, but it's a wood drum, so that's usually like no, I can't guarantee that it's going to look exactly like your current kit, but
right, we're making it the same way.
Yeah,
But there's so many factors. Like if you played outside ever, like there might be a little bit of fading. If you play, all sorts of things.
Yeah, that's about to the weird extent. I mean, luckily, in the drum world, I think most of it is filtered by you guys. You guys get most of the strange requests.
You're welcome.
I get the, hey, my lightning throw off from 1956 doesn't work anymore. And
is this under warranty?
Yeah, literally, because you take off the head from those old Gretsch drums, it says guaranteed for life in there.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh my God, don't ever do that. Pearl, you guys shot yourself in the foot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, literally that. What was the vintage Gretsch? It's like Moon. It's a dark.
Yeah.
What is it? It's Moon. The wrap finish that's like.
Yeah, it's like psychedelic. And
it's
kinda,
psychedelic Moon something finish. I forget. It's like
fuzzy,
the dark one. I'll figure it out. But anyway, the guy had that and brought it in to get some like new heads, and it was like a 60s. I think it's a 60s kit.
Yeah.
And the shells, he had taken the hoops off, or we taken it off to put new
I
heads
took it
on.
all off,
and like the shells were separating a little bit, and inside the drum said, those great Gretsch shells guaranteed for life. And I'm like, you should call Gretsch. I was like, you should call them. And he was like, yeah, I remember. He was the only owner. I was like, Hey, man. I was like, they're going to hate you. But you could call them.
But he didn't.
Those guys in that factory, they'd probably be at least hip to listen to it, especially for some of
you
those.
guys are so great with that stuff.
Yeah.
They're the Gretsch guys are great.
They're at least
really
willing
funny.
to listen. But yeah, it's crazy that you come
like,
across that like
guaranteed for life. All
Because
right.
Yeah.
you could always say, hey, what kind of condition was this drum in?
Has this ever been
You could clearly
taken
tell
out
it was
anywhere?
in
Has
a
this
damp
been touched by
basement.
human hands?
Yeah, it's been touched by human hands. It's been in a dank, dirty basement, something like that. So it voids the warranty.
Yeah.
So
But it cracked me
there's
up.
ways around it.
I saw that and I showed Sean the label. I was like, we might have a case here.
That's what I'm saying.
You get a good lawyer, we might have a case.
I did think of a weird one. I got asked if drum shells were under warranty for water damage.
Oh my gosh.
Like they're,
Yikes.
and I don't think it was like flooding in the basement.
Yeah.
Like they were like left outside in the rain.
They're not weather kings.
Like that was a strange request. You
Yeah.
just politely like, no, unfortunately, like it's not.
My
I
drums
love
were
it.
in a car accident. Actually, John Pfeiffer, he has a Gretsch drum set. One of our teachers, John Pfeiffer, and he was in a car accident. And his Gretsch drums, he had USA Gretsch drums, and they survived the car accident.
There you go. You went
Durability.
durable drums.
I don't know
We
if
hit
that's.
them with a car and they're
he-
still fine.
I think he was using the
They're still round.
Enduro cases, so I don't know if that's a
right.
plug for
Enduro
Gretsch
cases.
drums
We
or
also sell
Hubenberg
those.
Enduro cases. Either way, we're good.
Either way, we're covered. We're covered. Oh, awesome. Well, is there anything else you guys want to bring up, talk about?
I don't know.
This
It's
is
a
fun.
pop-in.
It's a pop-in. We popped in. I don't want to. I mean,
Talked about popping in on famous people and not knowing what to
It
say.
worked. Yeah.
it's a pop-in.
Turned into
That's
something
it.
cool.
All that happens is one person starts telling a story and the other person juts in. And now that there's 3 microphones,
That's right.
Back-
I was
back to
pushing
back to
for
back.
this. I was pushing for the three mics.
I
Yeah,
literally
you,
was
you usually
as-
got kicked off.
I did. I had to.
And then you every once in a while, if you like could hear yourself shouting from
Yeah.
the background.
Shouting.
Right, yeah.
hey guys,
You're like the producer off camera.
Turn this way. Cut.
I was literally.
I was operating the camera though. I'd
Yeah.
have to
I
make
was-
adjustments.
I was literally setting up these 3 microphones, and Sean said, it'd be really great. We were talking about, we're going to have Corey Paternoster and Brian Doherty, 2 teachers, 2 local teachers, are friends. They used to teach at the shop, and local drummers and bands. And we're going to have them both on the show, but they like teach together. They have their own studio together. And he was like, are we going to have Brian and Corey on together? And I was like, Sean, we only have 3 microphones.
Right.
We literally haven't done a podcast with 3 microphones, and you want a 4th one now. Come on, man.
That is true. I did say that. That would be great.
I know a place where you can get a microphone.
Ah.
You know what's going to happen?
Roll
when we have
credits.
4 microphones. He's going to ask for a 5th one.
Yep.
All right.
I got you there too.
Yeah.
Maybe we can work out a buy one get one special.
Buy one, get one.
You just got
That's a
to
good special.
The pop-in special.
Sponsored advertisement then.
Yes. Yeah.
a
Hal
good
Leonard.
deal.
Like, we're going to like edit this over, and every time you speak, there's just going to be small Hal Leonards like popping out of your mouth and like floating around the screen.
If I can write the script for you guys and you have to read
Yes. Well, we were talking about. I mentioned this to Sean a while ago. We were like, when podcasts like get going and stuff, they've got sponsors and different things like that. But that's what we do kind of the whole time.
Yeah.
We're like, we really love this. Like what Drums Etc. is, and local drum shops are. Like we're going to give you unfiltered. Every company,
Regional
every manufacturer,
marketing and advertisement.
Yeah. Every manufacturer is going to say we have the best. The one thing that we have that they don't is our opinions, our experience, and our expertise to tell you this is better than this. So it's going to be hard for us to get any sponsors for this show.
Sure
And
is.
sometimes your personal experience is different from,
Of course.
another person's
Of course.
experience.
Yeah.
You never know.
90% of what we do on the show is say it depends and then talk about it.
It does depend.
Yeah.
I was telling Sean your last podcast. I said I would have argued with him on the crank it down on nylon tips, and
Yeah.
so I was having an internal car discussion with.
You're like,
with
no,
you.
Sean, no. No.
Explain why.
You
why
were
would
wrong.
you? So did you cranked it down or did you turn
You cranked it up.
I cranked
you turned
it up.
it up.
Yeah.
You turned it up.
Turned it up.
And I
Cranked it up.
And
cranked it up.
And I told him that he did go to the point of like the nylon tip, popping off. That would be one of the arguments. And that was literally, and it's just from personal experience
Right.
because most of us who have at least tried it, especially like olden days, you got your plethora of drumsticks, and I remember like 6th grade, you're like playing something and all of a sudden it like whoop, bing, and, like flies off in the practice room
That's
and you're
the
like,
last thing you want to deal with.
Yeah.
well, what do I do now? And you don't have like a huge stick bag, so you're then borrowing like friends' sticks, and they also have nylon tip sticks.
But here's something about how I play. I always play butt end out in my left hand, so I don't ever need.
So you don't even
never,
use the nylon tip in one hand.
I don't. Yeah, that's right. I know.
One flies
now
off, you just switch it.
I know, right? But I think
so. You can't crank it all. You're like, I went to 7. You didn't go to 11. You went to 7.
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah, I'll crank it down a little bit. I'll turn the air down a little bit on that. Okay.
You failed to explain that part.
I didn't I play butt end out with my left hand always.
Sean's out here selling sticks left and right.
But I usually will play and grab whatever, and as long as it's a medium style stick, I'm not too picky, and I don't like a real fine tip. But I will say that I remember, my stick of choice a long time ago was Vic Firth Extreme 5A, and I was going to band practice, and I went over, and our bin was out, and I was in charge of stocking sticks, so it was my fault. But I'm like, I grabbed the nylon tip. I was like, well, it's the same stick, really. I don't like nylon tip, but I'm going to grab it, and I liked it. I felt it was a little brighter on the cymbals, even though it was one stick only. I felt like I could get a little bit more brightness out of the cymbal. So then, from then on, I was a fan of nylon tip.
So what you're saying is I should face my fears.
Face your fears.
And revisit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
See,
that's good.
There's a theme.
We have a theme for the Poppin'.
Go full circle.
We need to title it something. So maybe we'll call it like Poppin'. Face your drumming fears.
Well,
you can't call it Fear Factor.
But don't say that. Don't say that.
You're like a traditional marching band guy, right? So with that aspect, nylon tip versus wood tip you can't tell the difference. It's more of like, I think, drum set playing where you're hearing it on the cymbals and articulating that way. So nylon tip would be foolish, because if you're playing on the snare drum and the nylon tip goes flying, well then what was the point to begin with?
Yeah.
You're not playing cymbals.
Right.
It's
really
only
been
you can't tell the difference in the way it sounds on a drum.
I mean, I remember my first kit we purchased from a retired policeman in Slinger, Wisconsin, and with it came whatever he had, and it was the stick bag. And I remember there were like these blue, completely plastic like sticks, and there was a red pair, and it was just like I played with them, and I look back and be like, oh, why did you did that? But I remember I had nylon tip. I remember I went through a phase. I was playing like the Travis Barker sticks.
Yeah.
I was doing those all the time.
They mark up your cymbals so bad.
Yeah.
Oh my
and like
God.
I did it. I was in a ska band at the time, and like I was cutting up my sticks and going through them. And then at some point, some of it is all influenced by your teacher or your professor, whether they can get a deal on sticks. Because especially in like college, you're like, I can't afford all these sticks. Especially having to buy like marimba, vibe mallets, everything, marching mallets or sticks, whatever it may be. So you're like, they got, a deal through, Innovative Percussion or somebody like that. And I think at one point I ended up switching, and this was even before we had distributed them. I became a Vader fan. And like part of it is the density of their wood is, if fun fact, is similar to like a handle on a hammer. Like it's like furniture density compared to, so it is a heavier stick, which some people have issues with. But in turn, what that does is it kind of keeps your stick a little healthier, a little longer. Like you don't get that rim shot and then like all of a sudden it splinters on you.
The fray is different.
It frays differently. And for whatever reason, I was in a cover band that was doing, Who and Zeppelin covers and, doing that for 4 hours a night, multiple nights a week. I couldn't afford to just churn through sticks all the time. And I found LA5As and I was like, these feel good.
They last.
They lasted me a gig.
Yeah.
I was like, sweet. And then that's all I've used.
Is that your stick of choice?
Yeah, that's my LA5A is my stick of choice.
That's a good stick. I like the Vader 3/8 fatback. I think that's a great stick too.
That's a
nice
big seller too.
It's a good one. I like
so
those.
now you haven't discussed your stick of choice. At least I haven't caught it.
Listen, I usually am not too picky. I'm kind of like Sean.
You grab the top of the pile and
I don't grab the top of the pile. Like I'll be pretty consistent, but what I'll end up doing is like buy a brick of something and then play through. Like right now I have white 5As because we accidentally ordered them instead of normal 5As.
So you
because
had
the part number for 5A, it's 5AW.
Yeah.
which we used to have on our stick display 5AW for wood tip, W
Okay.
for wood.
Yep.
But that's actually white.
Yes.
Fun fact.
And
But
Vic first
now
corrected
I
us
love
so many times on that. I remember back in the day, they were like, "Now you have 5AW. Do you?" They would call us.
Yeah.
And that was back in the day. We would fax orders over. We'd fax them over.
Good
and
old
write 'em up.
faxing
Yeah. So it was
days.
like 5AW.
Yep.
And like I had to go over eventually. After the third or fourth time, he calls me up and says, "You don't want the white, do you? Or you want the right?" Like I went over and
But
scratched off.
I
the
kind of got
W.
used to it, and those sticks, the paint on those sticks are fine. It's not like the Barkers with like the tips or like it's not like it doesn't look like it's spray painted. It's like finished. Like it flakes. Obviously, chunks of it come off.
But it doesn't mark up your
symbols at
yeah,
all.
okay.
Same thing with like the GAD black sticks.
Yep.
That won't happen. Stuff like that. I got an email. Wow, loud in our ears.
That
loud
could be a
nowhere
segment
else.
in your podcast.
Listen, this was a test run of all.
Oh, we
of our
have our first question.
yeah,
The live listener.
the live listener, the chat's going. No, I literally forgot to turn that on and off. So the camera will like randomly just go black for a little bit, and then it'll pop back on because I don't have it hooked up through the computer yet. But
It was your test run.
it's a test run.
I feel privileged
Test
to
run.
be
And welcome-
a part of the test.
I'm very
3
excited.
microphone test run.
Yes, and the new studio.
It
all of
looks
this. Got the sweet bricks here from Rocket Masonry. Another customer helped me cut all this wood to make these walls on either side of us, and
What are you going to do when you need to add a 4th microphone?
we'll get another.
We're
going to
call you.
Yeah, do you get it? Do you
Just
go
another
2 tiny couch?
Just we can make it happen. I don't know.
You might as well.
All right, this has been a drum key pop-in, our first one. Let us know how you guys like it. Go down in the comments, comment away. If you absolutely hated it, we're just going to forward all the hate mail directly to Tyler because you like the other ones, and Sean and I were here for the other ones, so it must be his fault. No, but
I'll
the
be ready.
pop-in idea is great. We have this set up now so that if you're in the shop, if you want to talk industry, if you want to talk drums, let us know. Maybe we can set the drum keys down for a minute and pop up here, and film a drum key pop-in episode.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Well
Yeah.
done.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. This was a lot of fun.
Good night. I don't know what to say.